Okay, so let's look at hot starts and cold starts in the NHL right now. While I'm still processing this whole, I'm exposing my biases against the Penguins if I say something bad about Crosby, even if I'm kidding. Even if I like Crosby, that's whatever. Anyways, it bewilders me how when you do this daily that people will look and they'll go, I think I see, there it is. There's something he said that there, or he's thinking something. Oh, if people knew what I was thinking. Guys who come out to meetups know how I really feel about certain players and certain teams, and they're usually kind of surprised. So I do hide how I feel as an emotional hockey fan 99.9% of the time. Um, and it's not vitriol to the Penguins that I hide. It's not. All right. Hot start. You know what? Most of them are players that I don't expect points from. With Getzlaf, this is an admiration hot start. 7 games, 2 goals, 5 assists. It's admiration because a guy who gets hurt as often as he does, I don't know if he ever plays at 100% now. But the fact that he puts up a point a game, I respect that. So he gets the hot start for me with Anaheim. Plus, there aren't very many players in Anaheim that I look at and say that's a hot start. I would say Comtois, maybe, but Comtois' point totals have started dropping off a bit, so I don't know. Lundestrom is on the cold side. 10 games, 1 goal. It's pretty easy. If it's red, they're hot. If it's blue, they're cold. I went with that. I thought, yeah, let's just keep her simple. On the Arizona side, Hinostroza, 10 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. Hot start for him. A guy who Chicago fans told me all summer, I don't know what you like Hinostroza for. You're just crazy. And you know what? I absolutely love Vinny. Every time he scores, I pump my fist. I'm excited for him. I'm glad to see him doing well. I have Grabner on the cold side because look how many goals he scored last year. He scored was 28. He scores 2 the other night against Tampa. But that's all he's scored this year. He's got 4 points in 10 games. And I think the more was expected from him in Arizona than what he's provided so far. Boston, Bergeron with 16 points in 11 games, 7 goals and 9 assists. That's really high for Bergeron, for a guy who I'm pretty sure he's never broken the 80-point barrier. So this is a high total for him. Bergeron, really, it's a matter of can he stay healthy. That's Patrice's problem, is staying healthy at this point. If he can stay healthy all year, he should break the 80-point barrier, maybe. I don't know. They are the best line in hockey, but I don't know if Bergeron cracks 80 points. I have Ryan Donato up there for the cold start. We had expected a little more from him than 1 goal in 10 games. And he looks like he may be headed towards regular healthy scratch, which could mean a trip down to Providence. Might help him anyways. Buffalo, Pominville had a fast start last year, and I took flack for saying that he had a fast start that he couldn't maintain. He's got the fast start again this year. This year feels a little more like he can maintain it because he's really got an excellent line mates right now. 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in 11 games for him. On the cold side, I've got Berglund, fresh from St. Louis and still disappointing with a goal and an assist in 10 games. Calgary, Matt Tkachuk, 11 games, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points for him. That's higher than I had expected this year. If he ends up with 85 or 90 points, that's huge. James Neal's on the cold side with 2 goals and an assist, and Doug McLean will tell you he's not getting enough ice time. But my argument is this. If you want the ice time, you have to show that you deserve that. And with 3 points in 11 games, he's not making an argument that he belongs higher up in the lineup. Calgary's not really having a problem scoring goals either, so until something goes really cold or they really need to shake things up, Neal's going to have to make his own ice time. Carolina, I have Ferland on the hot side, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points in 11 games. I had thought of Lindholm as the hot one for Calgary. This trade has worked out for the players involved in both teams, but not on the blue line. Hannafin has not been fantastic for Calgary, and Hamilton has not been fantastic for Carolina when it comes to scoring the goals. 1 goal, 3 assists for Hamilton, 6 goals, 4 assists for Ferland, 10 points for Ferland, 4 for Hamilton, 2 former Flames, 1 that's hot, 1 that's cold. Chicago, DeBrincat, I had not expected 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points from him in his first 12 games this year. I know DeBrincat's good. I don't know if he can maintain that pace. I know that Patrick Kane's on a pace that he won't maintain that all year. He's a very good player. He's an excellent player. one of the best of his generation, but I don't think he'll be able to maintain that all year. Brandon Saad I have as on the downside with 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points in 12 games. He's had a couple of good games recently. He's still been a disappointment overall. On the Colorado Avalanche, Mikko Rantanen has been a surprise with 21 points in 12 games. 21 points in 12 games. He's on pace for like about 140 points this year. That's insane. That's truly and completely insane. I don't think we'd expected that. 5 goals in 12 games, but the 16 assists in 12 games is crazy. When you're passing to Landeskog and McKinnon, that can happen while they're both hot. And Tyson Jost, 1 goal, 1 assist in 11 games. It is really hard to track exactly when a prospect turns to a project, turns to a bust. But we see that every year where a prospect, and you go, yeah, he'll develop. And then sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just not going to get it at that level. Jost is still very early in his career, but you start to wonder, when does he turn into a project instead of a massive prospect? Atkinson is the one that I'm on the plus side with Carolina. I want to say Carolina Hurricanes. Look at that. Columbus, 6 goals, 5 assists in 10 games for Cam Atkinson. Very good start to the season for him. Of course, he got off to a poor start last year. Contract negotiations and all that fun stuff. Off to a hot start this year. I have Riley Nash, who has 2 assists in 10 games as the slow starter for Columbus. And again, this is the thing. He had a great year last year in Boston. Sometimes you move to a new city, and you just can't get that same... That it just doesn't work. That mix just doesn't work. And it hasn't worked for him so far in Columbus. He's been on the 4th line too. But Nash was very productive for Boston no matter where he was in the lineup last year. That hasn't been the case so far for Columbus. Dallas, I have Jason Spezza, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in 10 games. That puts him on pace for about 60 points this year, which is much higher than last year. And I didn't expect that from him. And I have Janmark as the cold one with 1 goal in 10 games. I had expected more than that from Janmark. That's an alarmingly low total. That's on pace for 8 points. That's probably not going to keep him in the NHL next year. Detroit, I have Cholowski on the board with 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 9 games. There you go, Detroit fans. I've mentioned Cholowski again. He's having an excellent rookie season. Not that anybody would know, because all we talk about with Detroit is how this season just looks like a disaster. And it does, but Cholowski's been very good. Anthony Mantha, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in 11 games. He's got the cold start, and his plus-minus has been awful. And Mantha, it's a disaster this year. I'm not sure what Detroit does, and I know... Well, it's really bad overall, and they're rebuilding. But seriously, Mantha's stats have been shockingly awful. In Edmonton, Nugent Hopkins has had a huge boost from playing with this McDavid kid. I don't know if he's going to become anything. The McDavid, I don't know. He'll never score 100 points. 10 games, 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points for Nugent Hopkins. That's a lot. That's the kind of point totals we would have expected from him when he was drafted. Puljujarvi, 7 games, 1 goal. Puljujarvi is on his way to... I think he's on his way down to the American League for a while. And I think then the Oilers have to figure out what they're going to do with him. Because we are at that point where you're officially hindering the kid's development if he's sitting, if he's in the American League, if he's not happy. And you have to decide to move him. Florida. Dadonov, I'm surprised to see him above a point a game. 4 goals, 6 assists, 10 points in 9 games. It's early in the year, but you know what? That's what makes this fun. I don't know if he can maintain an 85 or 90 point pace, but pretty good start for him. Ekblad's the disappointment, 2 assists in 9 games. Aaron Ekblad is also flirting with not a bust label per se, but in the region of bust, definitely. At least as a scorer. As a defenseman, he may end up being very, very good, but the offense is not where it was going to be. Or where it was supposed to be. LA, Drew Doughty with 8 points in 11 games. I'm honestly kind of surprised at Doughty's point totals being this high. It's been a slow start for LA, but Doughty's point totals are actually pretty good. He's on pace for about 60 points, which is high, considering the team's pretty low. On the cold side of things, Kopitar, 3 goals, 1 assist, 4 points in 10 games. That's not going to get it done. That's not, and he'd say that's not good enough. That's on pace for about 33 points. Not going to get it done. Montreal, Max Domi, 10 games, 5 goals, 6 assists. The goals are a bit of a surprise considering he couldn't score goals in Arizona. He seems to be more energetic, more confident in a Montreal jersey than he was in Arizona at any point. We'll see if that's maintained. Andrew Shaw, 7 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, and of course, healthy scratch for Shaw. So he's dealt with injury issues, now he's a healthy scratch. May very well be on his way to also being out of the league. It doesn't take very much. Nashville, I've got Ekholm, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points in 11 games is the fast start for them. Bonino, 2 assists in 11 games. Remember when they signed Nick Bonino and this guy said they're great down the middle now? That really makes them, that gives them that kind of center depth you need to win a Stanley Cup. Oh, boy. New Jersey, Kyle Palmieri, 8 games, 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points. I don't think Palmieri scores 82 goals this year, but I can see him hitting 30, and I could see him hitting about 60, 65 points. Excellent start. On the other side of the spectrum is Pavel Zacha. 8 games, no points. And I know there are people who are going to say, well, Zacha's played well. Zacha's getting chances. He's just snake bit. At the end of the year, they look at the stats. GMs don't look and go, well, you were snake bit. I'm going to give you extra $1 million because of those ones that went off the post. It's not how that works in negotiations. So Zacha's been disappointing. The New York Islanders, Anders Lee, 10 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. I'm surprised by Lee because of the assists. Lee's known for scoring the goals. He's got 7 assists in 10 games. That's pretty good. That's on pace for over 50 assists. And if his game evolves because of the loss of Tavares, again, I really think it has helped the New York Islanders losing Tavares, and I know how weird that sounds. And on the cold side of things, there's Jordan Eberle, 10 games, 1 goal, 3 assists for him. 4 points in 10 games, that is a slow start for Eberle. Rangers, I had a hard time finding anybody on the Rangers with a hot start, so I went with Anthony DeAngelo. He scored yesterday. 3 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. DeAngelo's a guy that he has all the talent in the world. It's always seemed like the rumor's always been that his attitude's been the problem. See if he can keep it going. Lord knows the Rangers need that offense from the blue line. It was either going to be him or Pionk. Pionk has 6 assists in 9 games. He's off to a good start as well when he's playing. When he's not being a healthy scratch. Kevin Hayes, I have on the cold start with 2 goals and 1 assist in 11 games. And this is why I said yesterday, if Hayes is on the trade market, that's going to drive the value down because he's not putting up the points right now. Ottawa, I have Shabbat, 10 games, 3 goals, 10 assists as the hot start. Nobody expected Shabbat to be over a point a game this year. That's crazy. Pajärvi, 10 games, 0 points. Hard to argue that even though Pajärvi's 4th line player, I know that 0 points. This was a guy who was a first-round draft pick of the Oilers, yes, but we had kind of expected offense at some point or something, and it's just when I watch Senators games too, you kind of forget he's there, and that's not always a good thing. It's a good thing when you forget that certain players are on the ice because of the role they play, but when it's a forward and it's a guy that really you would hope would chip in at least something, that's not good. Flyers, I had to mention Radko Gudas with 5 assists in 10 games. He's not going to maintain that. Bless him, he's not going to maintain that. On the slow side, Ghost. Ghost's being outscored by Gudas in fewer games. Ghost has played 11 games, has 1 goal, 3 assists. That's sad. Pittsburgh, Chris Letang, 9 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. He looked like he got hurt in the Vancouver game the other night. I haven't heard anything more about it. I assume he's okay. But you have to worry about injury with Letang at all times. But he's looked good this year, and he's putting up a ton of points. Nobody's going to maintain some of these hot starts, but there will be the occasional hot start that is maintained throughout the season. Jack Johnson, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 9 games. And Johnson, so far, in the Pittsburgh games I've watched, again, his positioning just seems off, and I may just be harsh at some point with certain players, so I don't say a whole lot about it. But yeah, Jack Johnson came over, and I have a funny feeling at the end of this season, if he doesn't get it going, the last time that Columbus faces Pittsburgh, Tortorella may yell a few things out at him onto the ice. On the San Jose Sharks, Timo Meier with 8 goals and 4 assists, 12 points in 11 games. That's an excellent start for him. On the cold side's Melker Karlsson with 11 games. The joke I've been making about Melker, though, is that he's number 68, Erik Karlsson 65. Of the 7 assists by Erik, I'm going to assume at least one of those was probably Melker's, and he just let it go. They just saw 65 instead of 68, and he's like, yeah, we can give it to Erik. St. Louis, David Perron, 10 games, 5 goals, 5 assists, and yes, Vegas fans will look at that and say, geez, he's off to a really good start. Perron is he's hot and cold. He does this. I thought that Perron last year in Vegas was a guy that didn't make a huge difference for the team, but again, the optics are that he might have helped them this year if he could have scored a point a game. But again, you look at who Perron's line mates are in St. Louis, and it's completely different than it would have been in Vegas. So it's hard to make that argument and make it stick. On the slow side, Schwartz with 1 goal and 3 assists in 8 games. That's a poor start for him. He needs to get it going. St. Louis needs a goaltender, though, to get it going. I could have put goaltenders up here, and Jake Allen would have been on the slow side of things. Tampa, Yanni Gourde, 10 games, 4 goals, 5 assists for him. That's a fast start. I hadn't expected almost a point a game from Gourde. I know he had an excellent rookie year last year. I'd expected his point total to be roughly the same. This is way better. Steven Stamkos with 1 goal and 4 assists in 10 games. Considering he's been a 60 goal scorer in his career, 1 goal in 10 games is insane. So yeah, that's a cold start. Toronto doesn't have anybody that I could point to and say that's a slow start. So I went with 2 hot starts. Morgan Rielly, 11 games, 4 goals, 10 assists for him. Amazing start for him. And Kasperi Kapanen, 11 games, 6 goals, 4 assists. Who every day probably calls Nylander and says, you hold out. You stand your ground, mister. On Vancouver, Bo Horvat. The 7 goals are the reason I have Horvat as the hot start. And again, it was hard for me to come up with anybody for Vancouver. I could have said Pettersson, but we expected Pettersson to be good. And he's only played 6 games. Granlund is the slow start. 12 games, 1 goal, 2 assists. Canuck fans, we always talk about Marcus Granlund in glowing terms. And we can see the upside offensively. But looking at the start this year, looking at his stats last year, I think we have to let that go. I think this is what you get with Granlund, and I don't think the offense is there. Vegas, it was hard to find a fast start for Vegas. So I went with Reeves, Ryan Reeves. 3 goals in 11 games means he's on pace for 20 goals. That's a fast start for Reeves. Howla, I have as the slow start. 11 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. You want to talk about Vegas falling? Howla had, I think it was 28 goals last year, and he's on pace for 7 this year. 7! That's 21 less goals, and you look at some of the other players they've lost. Pacioretty hasn't really picked it up. Now, he's been hurt. It's goal scoring that's just disappeared for Vegas. Washington, Connolly. I have as the fast start with 10 games played, 1 goal, 6 assists. For a slow start, I have Dmitry Orlov with 1 assist in 10 games. He got off to a slow start last year, too. Slow starts are nothing new for Dmitry Orlov. And finally, last but not least, the Winnipeg Jets. I have Jacob Trouba as the hot start with 1 goal, 6 assists in 12 games for him. Trouba has always had that offensive ability. Maybe this year he's going to translate it. Maybe that contract he got during the summer was just angering enough that he's going to put up a bunch of points and force them to make a move with him this summer. Slow starts, you cannot ignore Laine's slow start. 3 goals and 2 assists in 12 games. And Patrick Laine would tell you himself he hasn't been good enough, and he's got to pick it up. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You're just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.